5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello there, ladies and gents. Welcome to episode 2 of Revisited with Simon and Stuart. This week is my turn, so obviously I am Stuart. With me, as always, is Simon.
Yes, hello everybody, and welcome to episode 2. Stuart's pick this week. Stuart, for the listeners at home, tell them what the intro was.
Yeah, we played a little bit of a clip last week to see if anybody knew. And yes, this time we are reviewing Series 1, Episode 1 of Duty Free. So we are reviewing Episode 1, and it is called Viva España. So the opening episode introduces two very different married couples who meet while on a package holiday in Spain. David and Amy Pierce have used David's redundancy money to pay out for what Amy hopes to be a second honeymoon. But at the same hotel, they meet Robert and Linda Cochran, and David is immediately captivated by the glamorous Linda. Despite both being married, the episode establishes the flirtation that drives the series while introducing the culture class, if that's what you want to call it, and misunderstandings that arise during their holiday.
Stuart, to me, I remember very fondly, which is a bit of a difficult scenario given we're reviewing it. I remember watching it with my mum when I was a young boy, finding it funny at the time, and I've got to admit this, I've gone back and watched it not too long ago from start to finish. It's a strange one because there are 3 series. Series 1 is the first week of a 2-week holiday. Series 2 is the second week following on from that of
It
the
is,
same
yeah.
holiday.
First two series are based on first 2 weeks of a holiday. It
Kept
got the
sort of thinking,
nickname of being called the holiday that never ends.
yeah,
Because it was
series
just
3 is a completely separate holiday where
it
they
is,
go
yeah.
away again, and
That's
then you
right,
get
yeah.
the Christmas special as a one-off alone. And thank goodness we're not reviewing that. I am going to have to try and defend this because it's one of those rose-tinted glasses, lovely things that I recall. But yeah, I think I might struggle here, Stu.
Well, I
Um,
mean, the episode opens obviously because it's the first episode. It opens with David and Amy turning up at the hotel with suitcases. David in a suit. I will bring this up regular through this episode. You know, it's supposed to be a hot climate, and David just is relentlessly in a suit and tie for some reason. I don't
you
get
say that,
that.
but I remember back in the day going on package holidays. Not that my own sort of father did it, but seeing the old British abroad where they'd be in a suit or a jacket at least and a shirt and that old Brits abroad stiff upper lip kind of thing.
It is, yeah.
And
It's like the wet and holiday, but couldn't relax.
yeah, and I'll tell you now, some of the 80s wear, especially in particular that Robert Neil Stacey, the actor, wears. Oh my goodness
Oh, with his
gracious
lovely
me!
cravat, you mean?
It's the cravat, and at one point he's wearing either bright blue or bright yellow trousers with either a bright blue or bright yellow jacket. And oh my good god! So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
but yeah, you're right. They arrive at the hotel. We find out that Amy, I think, says it's they're the second honeymoon that they've done. But we also find
Would
out that he's
probably, yeah.
spending some of his redundancy money.
Mhm.
Um, and that's the bit of a setup. They're a bit of fish out of water. They've never been abroad before. They arrive at the hotel. and it's supposed to be in Marbella for those who don't know. It was all
That's right.
shot
Yeah.
in the YTV studios in Leeds. But I'm sure I've read, and I'm sure you'll know this yourself, Stuart, that a lot of people thought it was genuinely shot on
Yes.
location in Spain
Yeah.
and
And I
contacted the
don't.
studio asking
Yeah.
how they could go and stay there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they did. How that came about, because I mean, one thing I will say is when they turned up at the hotel, the set actually for the hotel lobby, I thought was a very decent set. It was a
Yeah,
massive set. It
and
really surprised me.
it lends
A
itself really well to a sitcom because you have sort of like say the lobby.
Mm,
Predominantly, the sitcom takes place in one of the bedrooms, and being a hotel,
that's
they both
right.
look the same. So if we're in Linda and Robert's room, it looks very similar to David and Amy's room and so on. And then the only other real place that we see is the sort of bar
That's
area near
right.
the
Yeah,
fountain,
Taverna
and the
bit.
whole
Yeah,
sitcom sort of bounces about there with the odd occasional shot outside, and it's best described as a sort of terrible 80s bedroom farce.
it is.
Um,
Yeah, it's a series that's very repetitive on the same joke all the time, because obviously David fancies Linda, and it's just all about this sort of secretive relationship that they're having, and them trying to meet at a certain time, at a certain point, and just getting bombarded with everything going wrong, and they can
I
never
mean,
meet in secret or anything like that.
when we meet them and they're in the lobby and they check in and they go through everything, and you find his straight away with David, you get that he wants to appear better than he is. He knows he's working class. He knows he's been made redundant, but his comments on, "Oh, we don't want people to know there are cases. They look tatty, and we're abroad." I think when they first see Linda, when they're in the lobby, they both think she's foreign. One believes she's French, one believes she's Dutch or something like that.
Right, yeah, because of the way she dresses and the way she looks.
Yeah,
Uh,
and she is very the character herself. Talking about Linda here, is very pleasant, very polite, and you can see why David looks at her and thinks, "Oh wow," because she's very feminine, very.
it's the
um
grass is greener.
That's the one. Yeah.
It's that kind of look at it, and I mean, he goes straight into lion mode of he's been on other holidays, better places, and this and other.
Yeah.
He hasn't, but that's what their relationship starts off with. Their
Yeah.
relationship, their friendship starts off in a lie.
And then the sort of big sort of closing joke to the opening scene in the lobby is that the suitcase breaks open, which we can clearly see David triggers it to open as he carries it off, and his underwear gets strewn all
Yeah,
over,
all
and
his
hilarity
pants fall
ensues.
out. Yeah.
Oh dear. Yeah, okay. So it starts badly. We then go upstairs and we see them unpacking, and you find out that he is disillusioned. He's been made redundant, and he's got this dream of almost bettering himself in Spain, and he could be comfortable in Spain. And we get the first sign of their relationship in David and Amy, that he says, "Oh, I could live out here. It's so lovely," kind of thing. And straight away, she I won't say belittles him, but she's like, "You couldn't live out here. You get sunstroke," and just grounding him
Yeah,
in
she's
reality.
oh, yeah, she's always sort of pulling him back from, what he wants to achieve or what he sees in things. She's very much for,
As a
sort of,
child, I don't know about you, Stu, did you watch this when it was.
I
Sorry, Stuart,
I
when
remember
this
it
was on,
being
did you
on.
actually watch it on the television? You were younger?
I did, yeah, yeah. I did watch it when I was younger. But again, it's one of those things. I mean, we were talking about it sort of off air and what have you, when we are saying that we've been watching these and we watch them as a child. They're brilliant when you're a child watching them, but as we're watching them back,
Oh,
it's like,
goodness
oh, they're
me.
very, very poor.
And then
And
what struck me as a child, and it struck me again when I rewatched it, not so much this episode that we're just reviewing, but I could, as a child, I kind of wanted David and Linda to get together. I know that's morally wrong, but you could see that they were both of this. sort of dreamy world where, oh, we could do this and we could do that, and their respective partners were very grounded. Robert's very businesslike, doesn't like the Germans being in the hotel. Terrible stereotypical Brit abroad. Amy's very grounded in, well, you know where you're from, you shouldn't be trying to better yourself, kind of thing. And I kind of wanted them to sort of get together because they just seemed the happier couple.
Yeah, genuinely, they actually both couples suited each other. They were kind of with the wrong partners.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, David and Linda did deserve to be together because they seem more positive on everything, more outgoing. Whereas Amy and Robert, they deserve to be together because they had the same sort of attitude towards things.
I'll tell you what, we'll get on with the plot a little bit. They're still in the bedroom, and then we get the joke that, I mean, he says Amy's forgot to pack his shoes, which is a bizarre thing. You know, why haven't you put your own shoes in the suitcase? But maybe it's a different time. Maybe I'm judging. And I remember my mum doing all the packing as I was a boy, so I can't really nitpick on that. And then we get, and this is quite a strange one, but it's the first episode, so it's the setup as well, remember, that there's quite a tender moment between Amy and David where they're on the balcony and he's saying, I can't go out, I haven't got any shoes, I'll be laughed at. And she takes him onto the balcony and says, look, that's Spain, that's what you wanted to see. And there's a lovely bit where they gel and you can see why they've been married for so long. And he says, you know what, you're right, this is fun. We're going to make the most of this. This could be a new sort of beginning for us. And yeah, you don't often get those moments because for the rest of the holiday, they're obviously bickering and Amy's trying to catch him out. He's trying to sneak away. But it's a genuine moment that you could have
Yeah,
only
it's,
really
it
put in the
is.
first series.
Yeah, it is probably the first and the last time that you'll kind of get that and it be genuine because then obviously David's fantasies with Linda sort of obviously get more. We're only on the first episode, and it will try and then disregard Amy to go and pursue Linda.
Yeah, because he goes down to the bar. Amy stays and does the unpacking in the room. He goes down, and of course, Linda's in the bar, and she's incredibly flirtatious. And they have this conversation where he's saying he loves travel and he always finds Spain so beautiful at this time of year, and he's never been before. It's just a complete fabrication. And there's a bit where they're dancing, and he starts doing some form of flamenco or something with her. And sure enough, as they're dancing and gazing into each other's eyes, and he's got a rose in between his mouth, kind of thing. All the
Yeah,
stereotypes you can imagine. Amy, of course,
Amy
walks
turns
in.
up. Yeah,
Yeah, and the awkwardness and him trying to sort of defend himself, and they kind of get away with. They have a drink, and then the very next scene, the next morning, they're in the room, and she says, "What's this number on this box of matches, David?" And as the viewer, you know instantly he's got the number of either Linda's
yeah, yeah,
room or
yeah.
Linda's telephone or whatever it is that it. And Amy kind of sort of pushes him a little bit, but oh, I can't remember. It must be something. And then sure enough, Linda comes in to meet them because they've arranged to go for a drink. And she just says, "Oh, you know, don't worry if you ever think you're alone. You can always give us a call. In fact, I'll take your number, Linda. What's your number?" And of course, it's the room number on the box.
Yeah, she knows
And
he's lying. She knows he's lying, and she's obviously set him up
yeah,
and found out that he's lying. Yeah,
and then of course they go downstairs for this drink. And we get the scene where they're taking pictures. I mean, there's a bit again where the three of them, in Amy's set in the center, David and Linda either side of the table as we're looking at the shot, and they're almost holding hands over the table, saying, "Oh, do you like the paella? Oh, isn't it beautiful?" And it's just sort of going off on this flight of fantasy between themselves and enjoying each other's sort of flirtatious company. And Amy's mimicking them and everything that David says, when he says like, "I've always thought of, coming out to live in Spain," and straight away Amy's like, "Live in Spain? You've never been out of Northampton," really sort of grounding him, much to his anguish in front of this attractive lady he's, sort of sharing this fantasy with. And then Amy's sort of taking pictures as far as I remember, and we get the big joke to the end of part one where she asks Linda to, "Oh, why don't we take a picture of you?" "Oh, well, what, me? Oh, why would you want a picture of me?" And she positions it, "Oh, no, behind, yeah, on the fountain wall, it'll look
Yeah.
beautiful." And sure enough,
Right near
accidentally,
the watery fountain. Yeah.
yeah, accidentally, of course, checking the light, bumps into her and pushes her into the fountain. And I although I can wholly understand Amy wanting to do that, it's done out of malice, there's no question, isn't it?
Oh yeah, of course it is. Yeah, because she knows what is potentially gonna happen. She knows what David's up to. I mean, it's you don't really have to be a viewer watching it. You could really just be sat there. You could be Amy. You know exactly what's going on. You know that they're flirting. She
Yeah.
knows that David is sort of being a
Becoming
bit.
infatuated.
Oh yeah, massively. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Uh,
We
and
haven't really talked about, Robert much, but he doesn't have a massive part in this.
No, he
He's played
doesn't. You
by
very rarely see him. You only see him a couple of minutes in this one. Yeah.
Yeah, played by Neil Stacey. I felt a bit because he plays Robert very well, and the reason that Linda's probably flirtatious is that he's not particularly interested in Linda. She's his wife, and that's lovely,
He
but
is
he's
very, very upper class. Very upper
yes.
class. But I mean, I don't know if you got this as well. I actually thought he was, well, bordering a huge racist
Yeah, I've got this
as
note and it
well.
just says Germans references.
Yeah. Yeah, but even the Spanish as well, he
Yeah.
were taking it out on Spanish as well. So I don't think he's a particularly nicest person.
No, he's it's this awful trope that we'll come across in many, sort of sitcoms as we do this series, Stuart, that it was the Brit abroad, can't stand Johnny Foreigner,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
was supposed to be funny, and, the odd line as something happens, if it's a clever line, we see it in things like Blackadder, you think, "Oh, yeah, okay, that's quite funny," or a misunderstanding with the language barrier. But just to be blatantly, I think at one point he says, "Have you been hit long, David?" And he said, "We just got here, Robert." He said, "Well, welcome to Stalag Luft 7, too many
That's
Germans." And
right.
you're thinking,
Yeah.
"Oh my God." Yeah, and that seems to be Robert's shtick. And I know they're trying to portray a character of that time, but it was already out of date in 1985, 86 when this was on.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was,
that's right.
it's a
Yeah.
little bit uncomfortable. I'll be honest. Well, it's very
Yeah,
uncomfortable.
again, like I say, when watching it now, it's a lot of episodes very, very different.
Yeah.
And this is why I agree. Sometimes things do need changing. You
Yeah.
don't need that these days. Yeah,
But then we sort of after the pull, we come back after the break and we're up in the room. Linda's obviously drying herself off in her room. David comes in to apologize, saying, "Oh, I'm sure it was an accident. Amy wouldn't have meant." And Linda's straight away, she absolutely meant it, David. Just pushed me in the pool, and it's. And then Amy comes in as well and says, "Oh, I'm so sorry, so sorry." And yeah, yeah, they kind of, I'll say, patch things up for the sake of it. But there's a bit where it's just Linda and David, and he's obviously looking at her thinking, "Oh, she's just wearing a towel," and she's kinda looking at him doe-eyed, and it's all lovely. And then Robert comes in, and you think, "Oh, he's gonna get caught out here."
yeah,
And Robert's just totally oblivious. I
yeah,
think he doesn't
completely
even know
blasé.
David's name.
Yeah,
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 and he's just, "Oh, yes, what happened?" And she's, "Oh, I I fell in the fountain, Robert." Was it German? And he's straight,
yeah,
there's no, "How are
yeah.
you? Oh my goodness, what happened?" It's
No, I mean that's where the difference is between Robert and Amy. Amy can see what's happening straight away. She
yeah.
knows what's happening straight away. Robert's got no interest whatsoever because he's got no interest in his wife.
No, no, and it's
Really,
you c
it's
as I
kind of
said, you can
marriagey
see
convenience.
why. Yeah,
Uh,
you can wholly see why Linda likes the attention from David because she's not getting it from Robert. You can wholly
Ruby,
see why David likes the sort of glamorous, I don't mean that in a disrespect to Amy, but, that sort of glamorous lady paying him attention and sharing these dreams with him. So it does work well because you should never want the affair to work unless
no,
unless it's
I mean
horrible.
David's
You are
obviously.
rooting for them.
Yeah, David also is. I mean, these couples are supposed to be in the mid-40s,
Yes.
whereas they don't come across as the mid-40s today. But, back then you'd think they were in the mid-50s, nearly 60s and what have you. But David's probably feeling sort of as though he's been put on the back burner as with attractive nurses trying to pull the other sex and what have you. So when Linda comes across and she's flirting, he's picking up on that and he's thinking, right, maybe I've still got it. I've still got, chance to do this. And that's kind of where it all comes from as well.
Yeah, and then we get the bit where, and you touched on it, he starts this bit of an outpouring. Him and Amy are back in their room, and he admits that, "Look, I know what I am, and what's wrong with me wanting to better myself? What's wrong with me finding this tension from this lady nice? It's just flattering. I'm feeling useless, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just nice." And he says when they flew over the bay, he almost cried when he looked down. He felt like, "Oh God, something that's not my horrible life at home, that's a bit of an escape." And it's again a very touching moment, that bit. He then sort of says he's going to go and get drunk. Amy sort of reassures him and says, "Look, we're here. Let's make the most of it." And he says, "Oh, I'm going to go and get drunk in the bar." So she
Mhm.
looks a bit forlorn, goes down to find him, and he's just sat at the fountain having a drink. And she joins him and says, "Oh, look, come on, let's make the most of this holiday." And yeah. And then she twigs, whose glass is this? Because there's two glasses of
Yeah.
sangria. Oh, I don't know. Nobody here but me. And of course, round the corner comes Linda. Looks like she's just been in the pool, kind of thing. Disappears, and Amy pushes David straight into the fountain that Linda had been in earlier, and that's where we end the episode, really, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah, it's very straightforward episode. There's no real sort of story as such to it. It's setting up what is to come,
Yeah.
but this is where I think it kind of fails a little bit because it's the same story every episode. And of course, you know that it's going to be strung out for however, I mean, I think it was 23 episodes, I think it lasts for the
Yeah.
entire series, all three. So for 23 episodes, you got the same basic story all the time. And you
Yeah.
knew that it was not going to be found out. You were going to get it again next episode and next episode after that.
I will say this, although it's a good episode in regards to the setup and like I say, an interaction with the couples that you won't be getting later on, there are better episodes than this in regards to comedy
Oh yeah,
moments.
and that will be the same for every single episode and series we review. It's just a random episode that we're
Yeah.
watching.
I
Yeah,
mean,
there are good and there are bad in every single one of them. Yeah.
there are. We have to do this every week, Stuart. You know this. Funniest bits, if any, for you? Okay. Any at all?
Do you know, I have to say, and I don't think there was. There wasn't really any particular bit that I watched where either physically or verbally that it was massively funny. I mean, we said this last week about Heidi High as well. This laughter, this audience laughter, again, where's it come? Is this just an 80s thing where the slightest little thing was
Yeah.
overreacted to
I
and
mean,
you've got
the big
audience
laughs that
laughing. Yeah, yeah.
I noticed watching this, and I made a little note, was the suitcase falling open, which I think is end of like scene one.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
but it doesn't the hooting and howling
Yeah,
from the
it's
audience. You'd think
it's not
the
fall
ceiling had
on the
fallen
floor
down.
laughing, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then the bit where she pushes Linda in the fountain, pretending to take the photograph, cleverly done. We can see what's going to happen. It's pretty choreographed. But again, you literally think the fountain had exploded from the audience reaction. And it's a nice tie-in that it ends each half, the end of part one and the end of the episode, with the same scenario,
The
just something
same
different in
thing.
the
Yeah.
pool. But again, is it that funny? The dialogue, I can excuse the fact there's not. I don't mean this to sound horrible. not a huge amount of comedy dialogue because it's setting everything up.
No, there wasn't. No,
But
no.
but I didn't snigger, didn't there was no great joke, there was no great use of language, any kind of thing like that throughout the episode. I did like the tender bits because it's difficult to do in comedy
Hmm.
when you're going to portray him to be cheating, to show a
Yeah,
tender bit.
yeah.
I
Rather,
thought
I mean, it was good that it happened in the first episode
yeah,
because it meant more then, is as if you'd have done it later on, because you
yeah, and
knew.
and again, it's not a funny bit, but if we're talking, and I am really scraping the barrel here, the fact that you get Linda and David, who are going to have this alleged affair or supposed affair, and you garner sympathy for them wanting to do that,
Yeah,
and you don't portray them as the bad guys because obviously then that wouldn't be funny. I think that it was cleverly done, whether it was intentionally done or just a mistake in writing, because yeah, but it does work. This will be an easy one for you, Stuart. Then bad bits.
probably most of it.
Oh, oh, I've thought of another good bit. I'm sorry to interject.
Oh, go
I
on.
love the theme. I love the theme.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a theme. Yeah, it's got a good ring
The
to it. Yeah,
panpipes as we see the British Airways plane
yeah,
sailing, and then cut to the sort of fake
yeah,
Spanish music,
yeah,
castanets, everything inside.
yeah.
And I always enjoyed that. That will be a recurring theme as well. That the theme song's better than anything else on
Yeah,
on the
a lot of
sitcom.
them. Yeah.
As for bad bits, I do like the Robert character. He gets better in the rest of the series, but in this series, very uncomfortable use of talking down about anybody foreign, anybody not British. Well, we'd have rather gone to Bournemouth. Bournemouth is better. It's in England, kind of that kind of horrible trope of yeah. It was uncomfortable, really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
We didn't
Also,
also go on, mate.
I was just about to say as well, another, and I did write it down as a good bit. Well, the sets, I actually thought the sets were pretty good. To
Yeah, for a
say that,
sitcom
yeah, for a sitcom,
sh- shot in
80s.
a local studio in
Yeah, yeah,
Leeds.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree. Very,
yeah.
very good.
Something like
And
that.
convincing. Yeah, it was really well done. Um, yeah, other there's another character as well we haven't touched on, which is Carlos the waiter. He
Yeah,
does come into it more in the series,
yeah.
and
As the series goes on, because he knows what's happening.
yeah,
He
yeah.
knows that David and
I
Lynn.
think that they had the character sort of written in, and then as he gets a few laughs because he's sort of various
He's
little
the
catchphrases he
typical
has.
Spanish waiter
Yeah, and
of
I
how they
think
are
that they were
portrayed.
thinking this could be the next Manuel.
Yeah, yeah,
Doesn't quite work, but yeah, it's another character we haven't spoken about, and it does become more integral to the rest of it as it drags along.
yeah. It kind of
Uh,
it gets to be like what's the guy called in the Carry On film when they stay at the hotel that's falling to pieces.
oh,
Uh,
Pepe, Peter
yeah,
Butterworth.
he runs like that character. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's good. So, right, Stuart. As you know, at the end of every episode that you picked, I get to test you on your episode. Are you ready for a
Oh
little 5-question quiz, young man?
God, go on then. Let's see how
Close your
good.
notes, then you're not cheating.
I've got no notes. I've got no notes. Well, I've got only got a few notes, but none with any. You wouldn't know anyway. So,
All right, I know, I know. Right, here we go. So, question one: name the hotel they are staying in.
oh, you rotten man, you rotten
I will
man.
tell you that apart from one of these questions, all of these have been mentioned during this podcast.
Oh, the hotel that I don't know. The Hotel Stavros.
No, it's the Hotel San Remo.
Oh, do you know I were closer than I thought I were going to be though.
Okay, question two, mate. What does Robert refer to the hotel as when he's welcoming David? Again, we've mentioned this in the podcast.
Ah, can I re-listen to the podcast and then come back and give you the answer?
Any ideas?
Absolutely none whatsoever.
Stalag Luft 7.
Oh, of course. Yes, yes.
Okay. All right, we'll go with a bit of an easier one that you should have done your homework with. Who wrote the series?
Oh, it was a man. Begins with C. Go on.
Eric Chappell and Gene Weir.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, we're on to question 4. What is the
And how many
waiter's
have we got right so far?
nil?
Oh, okay.
Come on, I'm giving you this one. What is the waiter's name?
Carlos.
Yes, well done. Okay, okay. So your last question: what room number are Robert and Linda in? It was written on the matchbox.
Yeah, I want to say something like 723.
Nowhere near. 127.
No, well, at least I knew it were 3 numbers.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'll give you your dues. You've got 1 out of 5.
That's fantastic. I'm
Yeah,
well
that's
proud
not
of
too
that.
bad, mate. That's
Yeah.
not too bad at all. Right, so we have to rank this. We've only got 1 so far, which was Heidi High.
Yeah.
So at the moment, Heidi High is the worst because that's the only one we've watched. I have to say, this is not as bad as Heidi High. I could have, and I admit, I have a little bit of a thing for this sitcom that I could have sat and watched it and wouldn't have been too bothered that I watched it again.
I would sort of rank Duty Free better than Heidi High.
Yeah, I think so. So at the moment, it's number 2.
Yeah.
Like we said, folks, once we've got a few sort of sitcoms done, we'll produce a spreadsheet showing you how we've ranked them. And by all means, please comment on that as well. Anything else, Stuart, before we move on to add about Duty Free?
No, not really. Obviously, we said what we needed to say. Yeah, it did get slightly better as the series went on. I mean, it was a very short-lived series. Like I say, it was only 3 series. And don't forget that the series for us in the UK is only 6 episodes per series. It's not like the US, where it's like 22, 23 episodes per series. So when we say series, it's only a 6 episode sort of batch. So yeah.
I do want to say, if for those of you who have watched the series or remember the series, series 1, which is obviously the first week they're on holiday, ends when David and Linda kind of get together. Amy walks in on them as they're confessing their love for each other, and they say they're going to leave and go off to live together. Series 2 is the following week when they've got to continue their holiday as sort of couples,
Mhm.
and it gets it's weird. Series 3 is a totally different one. Series 3 is like a holiday that David
Well,
tries to take
they're
on his
back at
own.
home, aren't they, to start with?
That's right,
Yeah.
yeah, and he
Yeah, they're
plots
back
this
in
holiday going with
UK.
this friend of his to help his friend, and he's obviously gone to meet Linda, and then Amy and Robert turn up unexpectedly, and obviously hilarity ensues because we know what's coming. And then the Christmas special is, and I don't want to swear on air, but bloody dreadful.
Yeah, I mean, they made that the final ever episode as well. That was
Oh,
the
yeah.
the last ever episode, and it was the
Yeah.
only episode that they filmed in Spain, not on a soundstage. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the only one done live, if you like, on location, and it shows. It's very different. I like the set because you kind of get familiar. Like you say, the sets are quite good, and you
Mhm.
feel like when I've watched the Christmas special, it's a bit rough, blimey. And it's, I mean, if you think the jokes are bad in this, wow, wow,
Yeah.
wow, wow. So, right, Stuart, we're going to give the viewers a little teaser now as to what we're going to be watching next week. So,
Oh,
listen
crikey.
closely, folks. Right, well, we hope you guessed what that was. If not, make sure you're listening next week and we will review that for you. In the meantime, Stuart, anything to add?
No, that's it. That's all from us. Thank you for everybody for listening. Don't forget, if whatever platform you are listening to us on, please like, subscribe, and share. So all that is left is to thank Simon for joining me as always and giving his views on this episode, and you, the listeners, for your support and comments.
Remember, if you want to agree or disagree, or if you have any further comments, please contact us on the platform you listened on, or email us at revisitedwithsciencestew@yahoo.com, and we will look at these as we go along.
So join us next time when we take a look back at another abysmal effort, and remember,
He did kick me up the arse.